Hey everyone, welcome back to the Passive Buddies podcast. And today we are stripping things back. Okay, we are going to teach you guys how to live life to the fullest without being crippled by crap. Is possibly the nicest way to put it. So today we are all about minimalism and how we leverage that inside our lives and business. Brandon, this is you to a teammate. So hit me. What got you interested in minimalism?
So I'm a very frugal person. I like more experiences than materialistic things. My wife is more of the materialistic person, where she has to. I mean, she obviously has a work, an actual job, and she typically has to show up in nice clothing because she's a executive. Versus me, I'm a very relaxed person, very chill. So I typically, the more frugal I can be, the more I can, one, invest in assets that make me more money and make us more money. I mean, that's, I guess, the best way to create multi-generational wealth and being able to more experience life. It's funny because my wife will buy these handbags that are quite nice. And then she'll drop on accident, or someone will hit off her chair and it'll fall on the ground and it'll make a little smudge. I'm like, now it's ruined. Like, I mean, not really ruined, but like, why spend all this money for a little mishap to happen when you could spend a lot less? And if it breaks or it makes a little mishap, then you can just buy another one that's like way cheaper than what you bought this one fancy purse for. So yeah, so I'm big on shopping and really focusing on, I mean, my shirt says lovely. I probably had this shirt for like 5 years and it looks just fine. So I mean, I
Looks
typically
lovely.
Yeah, it looks lovely. So, and like I typically, like when I was a fitness trainer, I had all cut off shirts, and I got those because we would go to all the USC games, and it was really hot in California during the summertime when people played football. So it was all tank tops, but then I would use those for personal training, and now I still use them today on the podcast. So I really just focus on not spending a lot of money on useless stuff. So I typically don't buy like Louis Vuitton purses. I buy no purse at all. But you know, like, you want to shop more kind of just basic stuff. You don't need to spend all this money to impress people you don't really care about. I think that a lot of people try and keep up with the Joneses. And I think that's not a way to really live. What about you? Do you keep up with the Joneses?
I'd say no, because as you say, like, I think I'm wearing a shirt again that's 5 years old, shorts that are probably 6 years old. Like, in terms of me myself, then no, like I don't really like things that I do sort of spend money on and make sure it's good is like the computer, obviously the stuff that's going to make me money. So I tend to use the stuff like that to invest in. Saying that though, I do have a Q7 on the drive.
Got it. That's your car.
Yeah. So I do have an Audi Q7, which obviously is a really, really nice car and expensive. But obviously it's 7 seats, and I've got a tribe of kids. My next upgrade is probably a double-decker bus. We've got that many kids nowadays. So yeah, apart from like the car, and
the computer,
everything else is sort of bog standard. Like I shop at the same place all the time, and it's not really branded. So for me, it's like if I spend money on something, it's books, it's courses, it's equipment. Everything else is just like, no, nah, I'm okay.
But you're investing in your stuff.
Yeah, Kirsty's always like, Brian, like, buy yourself some new clothes. Nah, I'm okay. I was like, these fit just.
Fine.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I used to have a BMW. I had a nice BMW as a personal trainer. My wife had one. I was like, well, when we first started dating, she had one. And I was like, well, if you have one, I need to get one. And so I was trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? And so I was like, why am I spending $500 a month to go back and forth to the gym. It made no sense to me. Obviously, you have a lot of kids and a lot of big family versus us. So we don't, I mean, she understands now, instead of driving a BMW, she has a nice Ford, and she's busted it a few times. So it's, it needs some work. And if she would have had her BMW, she would have been paying a lot more on those repairs.
Oh, yeah,
we do have a nice house. It's now appreciated over probably around $1 million. And so that's probably our big expense. But that's a long-term investment for us. The whole second floor is not being used at all. We have a theater room. We have my office. We have like 4 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 4 baths. So we did splurge a little bit on a house, but again, we bought it in a nice area across the street from my in-laws. So that's really my only real big expense. And I think we have like 60% equity in it already. So it's not it's more of saving on rent than anything too, because we did put a large down payment. But that gets us into elimination. I mean, a lot of people tend to have all sorts of stuff in their garages. They have millions of clothes. My wife has millions of clothes in the closet. Literally, like, she'll buy I don't know. This is not to back my wife at all. But
this is like a partner bash, and I'm loving this.
This is like me versus my wife, and she is not the frugal person, and I'm more. And she has a whole closet. The whole closet is of her, and this is a walk-in closet. It's probably like, I don't know, like 12 feet long, maybe more. And it's all of her different clothes, from dresses to work clothes to workout clothes. And I have a dresser of clothes that is like 3 out of the 6 drawers are just like workout clothes. So try to eliminate, the less stuff you need to have, you really don't need that much stuff, to be honest. It was funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he said, for work as men, you really only need 3 suits. And those 3 suits can be interchanged multiple times, from the different pants to the different jacket you wear to the different tie. And so you can definitely eliminate and downsize. You really don't need to. I mean, look at Steve Jobs. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. They wear like jeans and a dark t-shirt, and it's like the same outfit all the time. Obviously, Steve Jobs is not here anymore, but previously that's all he would wear. Is because, one, it eliminates your mind stress on figuring out what you want to wear today. If you just pick the same thing every day and it's routine, that's one less thing you need to focus on. That's kind of how I eat food too. Is I typically just eat the same thing all the time, because then I'm not worried about where we're going for lunch or what I'm going to buy from the grocery store. It makes it more routine, and it saves me time, and it allows me to focus on other things. And it just doesn't take up headspace in my head, because then I can focus on all the other things that I need to get done, versus worrying about, what am I going to wear today? Or does this go with this? Or should I have ham versus turkey, or whatever it is? So it just makes it really easy to eliminate a lot of the choices in life, so that you can just focus on the right choices.
I think another thing to eliminate, and this may be a little bit controversial, eliminate people.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's so many people. Like, I lost my phone the other day. No, didn't lose my phone. My phone broke the other day. And obviously, you feel like your life's going to end when you lose your phone. And I lost all my numbers, etc. And you know what? I was like, well, I'm not going to go run around chasing these numbers. I was like, when they text me, and I was like, fine. I was like, I've got the number again. And literally, I only spoke to about 3 different people. I was like, and you've got all these people, your phone's flooded with numbers of people that you spoke to in 1972 and all this crap. And it's like, well, just like the amount of people that I don't feel the need to talk to anymore, because obviously it's just Like there's no actual mutual benefit. It's just, oh yeah, I know you. So yeah, actually works out. I only speak to 3 people regularly, via my via my phone. Everyone else could just have been eliminated. Didn't need them. Because
Yeah.
they take up stresses, like obviously like family stresses, like friend stresses, like negative vibes, like all that crap you just don't need. Like as you say, reducing that mental headspace. So it allows you for that creativity, that positivity that actually flows in making you money.
Yeah, I think that's awesome that you said that is removing a lot of the negative people or just removing people in general,
Mm.
because you really don't need a lot of people. You just need your core group of people. I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. So that's a good little quote. Obviously, 4 quarters, 4 people that are high net worth or that bring value in your life versus 100 different pennies or 100 different people that really have no value. I mean, people throw pennies away all the time. So it's not like you want to have those kind of people in your life. So that's a really good one. I like that one.
Thanks. As we move on to like investing in experiences.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
So for me, I typically don't buy a lot of things. Like I said, I would rather go and travel the world and experience different cultures, buy different types of food and try it. When we go on vacation, I am very adventurous eater. So I've had gator, I've had lamb, I've had rabbit, I've had all sorts of delicious animals that are cute, that taste very, very good. And so I like to, I mean, we've been to Dubai, we've been to Tahiti, we've been to Bora Bora. We're going on a 11-day vacation with my mom in Hawaii. So I'd rather invest in experiences with my wife than buying the next cool thing that comes up on the Amazon wish list.
I think that's pretty cool because that links into what Tim Ferriss said about mini retirements. Like everybody like focuses on like obviously getting to 70, 60 and then retiring and sitting there going, what do I do? What do I do? Whereas obviously if you break into those experiences and have like just switch off for a few weeks, maybe a month, like, and go have a mini retirement, obviously throughout your life while you're still young enough and not pinned to the hospital. Like go and experience those things because you're going to enjoy it a lot more as a 30 odd year old, or rather than a 60-year-old who's struggling to walk, or it's too hot, or you need a nap. Like take these little mini retirements throughout your life rather than just obviously at the end. Don't save it all up to the end because you never know what your physical state will be. So enjoy them throughout your life, and it makes a massive difference because you get to enjoy more and you get to experience more as a human.
Yeah, and you get to experience it with your loved ones at a really, I mean, when you're younger, you like your parents aren't always going to be around. Your friends are getting more busy with kids and all sorts of fun things. So if you can experience life, I mean, we work, it's funny because most people work from 20 to 60, and then they say they're gonna, or maybe even later than that now, 70, and then they say they're going to retire and they're going to travel the world. But who knows if you might even make it that far, or if you start having hip issues or anything like that where you can't get around as much. Like I'd rather experience life now with my loved ones than continuously put it off, because that's what we always do. People always say, oh, always tomorrow or always next week. And there might not always be next week. So I think that if you can experience life, as much of life as you can, and other cultures, and just see what the world is about, I think that's really cool, because I mean, there is so much like diversity in this world where how you live in the United States is much different in the UK versus in Africa or in Tahiti. So it's really cool to be able to experience what kind of other people live in and what their foods are and what their cultures are, and all sorts of fun things. And just the people are really cool.
Yeah, that's always a good one. Actually, as you say, like that experience is pretty good. Now, the last two from minimalism, mate. Obviously we've got downsize. Now, obviously, you're sat there in a house. You're sat there in a house with 4 bedrooms. You use one of them. I'm
Yeah.
sat in a 5-bed house. So would you recommend we downsize?
I mean, it depends on your living situation, right? Like, it's fine because I see a lot of people, there's two things that they do. They either buy a bigger house further away, and then they're spending all this money to drive to work every single day. And they end up spending more money in gas than what it would to buy a house of a similar size that's closer to work. And that, it just doesn't make sense to me. As far as someone who has, I think you have said 5 kids.
3 kids, 5 beds.
3 kids. Yeah. I mean, if you have 5 beds, I mean, it depends if there's 2 children that are girls and you want them to have bunk beds to save the, $200 or $400 more a month. I don't know exactly what it costs to rent or live in the UK, but it just really depends on the age too of the children. Like, if they're younger, like under 10, then sharing a room is probably okay. If do we share a room? We shared a room for a little bit when we were young kids, but then we got our own rooms when we moved. But it really depends on your living situation. And if you're someone who is like living single, then it would make sense to downsize. But it really just depends in your living situation. Can you move further away and not work at a place that you have to go to, and can downsize and use the living room as a office versus the office? Is your kids going to be all around running around while you're in the living room trying to work versus having your own office? It just really depends on your living situation.
Okay, so obviously what you're saying is, obviously, in terms of the money, like, if you don't need the extra space and you're just keeping it there, obviously as a part of like cutting your expenses to pay for better ones, then downsizing is probably recommended.
Yeah, I mean, or like, for instance, you could literally downsize your life. So like, a lot of people will move from, say, the UK. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. And this is, I mean, we didn't downsize, but we kind of downsized. We were living in California, in Orange County, Southern California, which was the area we were in was probably the most expensive area in the world. Like a 2-bedroom apartment was about $225 to $2,700 for a 2-bedroom apartment. And so really expensive to live there. And we moved to Texas, and we have now a huge house, 3,500 square feet on a 9,100 square foot lot. And we have 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, 0 income tax. And we pay $1,600 each, so $3,200. So for $500 more, we're getting two extra spare rooms. We're getting a theater room, an office, an extra floor, and we own it. So we didn't need to get that. I mean, we could definitely have got but we plan on having kids and blah, 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 blah. Friends come over, so that's a spare bedroom. But I mean, we could literally have got a 3-bedroom or a 2-bedroom and paid a lot less. People are moving to the Philippines from the United States, and they're paying like $300 a month for a 2 or a 3-bedroom. So you can literally downsize your cost of living moving to a different place. And you can't, but a lot of people will say like, oh, I can't do that, like my kids or whatever. Like, you literally can. Like, we literally moved from California 2,000 miles away to Texas, which is like a few countries, in in Europe. So you literally can. So not you personally, but audience. People make excuses all the time that they can't. They don't make enough money. And I made this in a post recently, but they say they don't make enough money or they hate the job. So then find a new job. It's not like anyone's having like keeping you handcuffed to the desk. If you're unhappy in your marriage, divorce your marriage, like your significant other. Like, sure, it's gonna be painful a little bit, like for the next, you might have kids, it might be painful, but your overall happiness is more important than being in a failed marriage. Or fix your marriage. If where you're living is too expensive, move. Like, people just don't want to put in the little effort that it takes, the short-term pain, to get long-term happiness. And so if you're able to do those changes and create a better life for you, then why wouldn't you? But I think just people are just too stuck in their ways, and they're not willing to uproot their lives to live a better life.
It's right. And as they say, like, sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same.
Right.
And then,
true.
Yeah, and then that wraps up by cutting expenses, doesn't it? Like, obviously, if you moved from California, which was like the most expensive place ever, into Texas, obviously your cost of living's going down, which means everything about your lifestyle's decreased in terms of spend, which means you've got more money to obviously put in different places. Yeah.
So I'll give you another example. My wife, she moved from her job to her new job, and she was really worried about the pay cut because she wasn't making as much money. It was like maybe a 30% decrease in pay. But the gas was, instead of $4 in California, it was $1.90, maybe less, for a gallon. I know it's much more expensive in the UK because you guys go by liters, and it's about the same price, but it's in liters, so it's a lot more. But we have which reminds me, going from like paying the car payment for registration was like $300 a month, or $300 to $400 a year for my little Prius, and now it's like $75. So all these cost of living changes really cut expenses. But then she got a promotion, and then she got hired at a new company. Now she's making way more than she made in California for what she what she was doing, and way more. And it's not only that, but she has higher bonuses, and the cost of living is down, and there is zero income tax, and she doesn't have student loan debt. And all these things start adding up. And so if you can literally cut all your expenses, move to a cheap area, live frugal, you will have so much more cash flow to use to buy income producing assets to buy back your time.
Yeah, 100%. So I think we've literally nailed this one. Have you got any final thoughts?
Live as frugal as you can through your 20s, through your 30s, so that you can continuously experience life. You don't really need a lot to live off of. More people are just bad with money, and they put themselves in debt, versus eliminating all your debts and all your expenses so that you can actually enjoy life. Because, why wait 60 years until you can retire when you can retire much sooner?
100%. Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.
Peace.